still do 7 NUFC Matters shows for free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications option. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatters1892@gmail.com. Thanks. A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at their website, mrvickies.co.uk. Email them, info@mrvickies.co.uk, or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. 3-star plus quality hotels, no interchanges, hot and cold snacks and drinks available on the coach, all excursions included. Their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet, and it's just £30 per person deposit. A big thanks to Media Arts for all the technical side of things. You can find them at their website, media-arts.co.uk. And if you listen to us on podcast, you can find us at Sport Social Podcast Network. You can also find us on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast providers. If you want to help the channel, you can subscribe to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button underneath this video, hit the thumb up, which is the like button, or join the channel. You can also visit our website, nufcmatters.co.uk, and take out a lifetime membership for £25, which gets you a pen, a badge, a key ring, a beer mat, a fridge magnet, and also your membership card and entry into the monthly draw. There's some Newcastle United events coming up. Friday the 23rd of January sees Chris Waddle and Peter Beardsley at the Tyne Theatre. Tickets available 0844 249 1000 or website tynetheatreandoperahouse.uk. Some summer events to come up as well. An evening with John Beresford takes place at the Crown Plaza on Friday the 25th of July, 7:30 till 10:30. Tickets by hitting that QR code. And NUFC Matters end of season party takes place on the 27th of June. Steve Howe and Steve Watson will be in attendance and will be hosted by Joe Allen at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Tickets available from nufcmatters.co.uk or by going onto Voucher. And we are raising money for Age UK North Tyneside Dementia. On Saturday the 9th of August, Northern Horizon, the Blake 7 convention takes place at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Tickets available from nufcmatters.co.uk. Come along and meet the likes of Jan Chappell, Sally Navette, Brian Croucher, and Sasha Mitchell. Don't forget as well, we have limited edition copies of The Entertainers signed by Peter Beardsley and Lee Clark.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true.
And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all believe. And it feels alright when the worlds collide. Manipulation stands to make us break.
What's that you said coming over you? You wish it upon a star. You wish it on a star. You are, you are, you are. You fight back, it's an all-out attack. It feels like I've been taken on the world's machine. Because I want it more than anyone can dream. You look back and it's all in the past. You tell me how you live by all the things you do. Well, you can be yourself, but maybe I'm not you.
And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters, the three amigos, the perfect way to kickstart your Newcastle United weekend. Sorry for the slightly early start and the shorter show tonight. I do have a social life sometimes outside of the show. So there we go. It's got nothing to do with drink or warm weather either, I hasten to add. But welcome to George, Steve and Mitch. Welcome to you. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. It does us a big favour. Okay, I don't often plan the show, but I just thought, you know, to keep on the positive vibes that the show's had over the last few weeks, I thought I'd pose the lads a question. I've given them a little bit of advance warning, a couple of hours, so they've had time to dwell on it whilst they're doing
more than you did about starting the show early.
I know, sorry. I know. I think Mitch was on the toilet, which you
know how to interrupt a nice relaxing poo. And at my age, you've got to care about your bowel health.
Classic.
Go when you can, Mitch.
God. But before
me and Steve are nearly halfway through, man.
I just want to say a big shout out to Colin Anderson. Lovely to meet him today, out and about. He was flying a drone in the northeast today, one of his hobbies, and he knows George. Who doesn't? He passed on his regards to George, which I've done anyway. Yeah, just a great chat with him.
Actually, as my memory's gone on, Steve, I'd just like to say hello to Colin because I had a lot of time for him. But I actually think when he was promoted, I was on the panel that promoted him the last time he got a promotion. So happy memories. And
very good.
A really good probation officer.
Good stuff. Good shout out to Ian as well. Hope you're well, mate. Nice to see you in the chat as always. What are Eddie Howe's top three qualities in order is the question. Now, Eddie Howe, of course, first man since Joe Harvey to manage a team to trophy success, George. So over to you first.
Well, it's a good question because it's the one that deserves an answer. First for me would be a simple word, and that's integrity. It's a long time. I think you've got to go back to Bobby and perhaps Kevin, but not always Kevin. But in terms of integrity, it's a long time since we've had anybody in St James's Park who you could say when he looks you in the face, he's telling you what the story is. Yes, he can give you a long answer or an evasive answer, but you know you're getting something that's in the right area. And the other thing is that I can't remember a single option ever since he came. You know, the dark days of us staring the championship in the face. Ever since he came, I cannot remember the man ever thrown a player or any of his staff under the bus and leaving them to fend for themselves. And even when he was having we thought he was having the internal wrangles with Mitchell when he came and all of the stuff about Mitchell saying how he wants his team to play and all the rest of it. Never once did Eddie Howe of his team and defence of the people that work for him. So integrity, number one. Number two, intelligence. I marvel at how he picks up on a theme, particularly in the press conferences, and he's able to work his way through it without any hesitation at all. Even when he's getting bombarded with questions that might not be ones he particularly wants. I mean, in the early days when he was getting hammered with the geopolitical questions, never once did he go deep into anything and get himself into the mire like some people would have done, and he just played it straight. And he also demonstrates an intelligence and football sense that he seems to read the game. He seems to read what we're going into very well, and that takes a measure of intelligence for me. And third, and by no means last, is his man management skills. I marvel at the way he. You've seen that group of players on that bus and on that stage last weekend, and it was an all-together thing, and that can only come from one place, from our manager. And then having heard the Dwight Gale interviews this week, well, I mean, unbelievable. I mean, I was gobsmacked that he's at the one that he talked about Bruce, and I thought that would be the end of that. But the next one's all about Eddie Howe, and it's amazing. And this is somebody who we got rid of. You know, he's kind of. If anybody was in a place to have a go, it could have been Dwight Gale. I mean, when Bruce was there, the number of times I found him sitting on my front garden fence, hoying his guts out because he was being made to run 3 miles, and all of that. But yet he had nothing but absolute praise. And he lifted the light a little bit on how Eddie Howe's techniques, on how he gets the players up one-to-one, and describing the 4 most important things in their lives to each other, or to him, or to another member of staff. And Dwight Gale reckons that quite a few of them, when they come out of that, some of them are in tears. They're so emotional about it. Eddie Howe manages all of that, and everything else that goes on. So, he clearly has thought in his spell away from football. Eddie Howe must have done an awful lot of thinking, an awful lot of studying. So that's the last of the 3. His man management skills are, I suspect, second to none, and we're just very lucky to have him, in my opinion. I just hope that we support him so he gets the chance to play his team. I keep reminding myself, we still haven't seen an Eddie Howe team, really. We're still seeing a team that's sometimes more than half Bruce players and players that been brought in by Eddie. So I look forward to the day when we see a full 100% Eddie Howe team, and it'll be amazing, just amazing. But a good question, Steve. Well worth asking.
Okay, those of you tuning in, the question is, what are Eddie Howe's top 3 qualities in order? So you've heard George's. What about you, Mitch?
Start with dedication. How many times do you hear that he's the first one through the door, puts the lights on, and he's the last one out and puts the lights off? And you don't just hear that from staff members, you hear that from players too. That's setting an example. How can you, as a manager, fine a player for turning up late for training if you're not even there yourself 2 days or 3 days a week? How can you have the brass neck to do something like that? There's no one can say he doesn't put the hours in, he doesn't put a shift in, he does it every single day. I'm quite sure often at the cost of family time, often at the cost of time he would rather spend somewhere else. And that really does genuinely set an example. There's no better way to lead than by setting examples. I think out of that also, he's got a willingness to learn and grow. The amount of times, well, just use the Carabao Cup experience, were lessons learned from the first one, the second time we turned up? You damn right there were. There was a totally different feel about that squad and about us as a club and the fan base. I think we all learned. But in particular, I think Eddie might get beaten tactically on occasion, but you don't see him getting beaten tactically the same way twice. He recognises where things have gone wrong and he works out ways to put it right. He's had some hard questions to answer this season, and I think he's learned and grown, whilst also being refreshingly honest at times. Sometimes it's brave to say, I don't know. But what you won't do is bullshit his way through an answer. He's not a manager who cover up a press conference with bullshit and bluster too often. And I think that's exceptional. And he's also assiduous and caring. And that goes front to back of the back room. Look what he did with the backroom staff at the celebration. Made sure everybody got their time with the cup. Made sure everybody was brought forward and introduced to the crowd in a proper fashion, and was given, that time in the spotlight. But I think he does the same with the first team squad. Whether Fabian Schär, probably signing his last professional contract or close to, down to the young kids bringing through from like Shaha and Miley and Neve, the striker. He has that ability to connect with everybody at all levels in that squad in the right and appropriate way to get his message across and create and foster an environment that is about we and us. And again, that's leadership. That comes in from a really special place. And I think when you combine all of those things, you do wonder if he continues to grow and develop. Where can he go with this? And as my dad rightly says, if he's allowed to sign a few more players that are seen as quote unquote his, what's the next level? And I think that's all born out of the qualities that he has as a man and as a manager.
Great points again there from Mitch. There's not a right and wrong answer to this. Denise says Eddie Howe, 1, professionalism, 2, his application to his role as a manager, his planning, his managing of the players' welfare and their families, his personal skills to work with others throughout. And I think Eddie Howe, he's a natural, very intelligent and thorough person, kind and thoughtful person. Brilliant question, by the way. Thank you, Denise. And Emmett, good evening, says Eddie is different to a lot of the current managers. He isn't argumentative or confrontational. He's always complimentary about other teams and managers. He is a class act. Mark Byers back stateside now. He says professionalism, work ethic and dedication. Some interesting stuff coming out. None of it wrong, Steve.
No, absolutely not. Great points. I'll just not bother saying now because of all we said. My first point is from a Newcastle United point of view, from a supporter's point of view, I think what we have is a manager who's 100% committed. I think when he took on the job, he let it be known. He's proved to us he is 100% committed to Newcastle United. The situation over the England job, for example, that didn't faze him. It didn't affect him in any way, shape, or form because he came out. He said he wasn't interested in the job. The job wasn't offered to him. He is 100% committed to Newcastle United. They're his paymasters. And I think that you do come across managers, and we have had managers in the past that have either come into the job simply because they were desperate for a job, or they've come into a job and then they've spent most of their time wondering whether they could get a better job. That we don't get that with Eddie. The second point is I think he's meticulous in his planning. I think we've seen him grow into that role. The way that he's planned things. Mitch has mentioned the cup final and learning from the cup final of the previous 2 seasons ago. But I think what we've seen is that you just listen to some of the players, and you just from what you pick up, whether it's being involved in which hotel they're staying in, whether the how they transfer to the grounds when they travel to games, the commitment that he puts in, and in that meticulous planning it up. It's all part of the same sort of gift, I suppose, or talent. And the third one is, I think, which is something that's important, not just in football terms, but in general management terms. If you're a good manager, and to be a good manager, you have to be on a continual learning cycle. And I think that's what Eddie is. I think he's the sort of guy who's always willing to learn. You learn from your mistakes as well as learning from what you are observing. And you try to achieve something better at everything that you've done previously. And I think Eddie's that type of guy. I think it's part of his makeup to be, a continual assessment, continuing to want to advance his career, want to advance his knowledge of the game. He's not just that, but his own personal development. Because when a manager or a senior executive, when they sort of get into that personal development phase, it rubs off on the people around him. It shows that he's always willing to learn. He's always willing to advance his own cause, but advance other people's causes around him, because everything that you achieve is going to benefit those who are part of your team. And I think Eddie's very much into, as we've seen, just as again Mitch mentioned with the celebrations, he's very much a team man. He relies on people around him, and he respects those people that are there, and he gives them the gratitude and the whole sort of gambit of showing that they're committed, and their commitment's rubbed off on him as much as his commitment rubbing off on them. So all in all, a huge benefit in Newcastle United. George is right. We saw it in spades with Kevin, but Kevin was very, very charismatic, and a lot of the things that came from Kevin were driven by his personality, his character, and also his foil in Terry McDermott. I think that in a way Eddie's a lot more quieter than Kevin, but he has a foil in Jason Tyndall, who he probably uses in the same way as Terry was used by Kevin. I think it was different with Sir Bobby. I think, Sir Bobby had John Carver alongside him, and John worshipped the ground that Sir Bobby walked on. And every day, John was learning from Sir Bobby. And I think, again, different personalities, but that was respect. That's because Sir Bobby had been there and done it and had the T-shirt, managed England, etc. But I think that in the modern game now, I think moving on 25, 30 years, it's very much important and we've seen it in the past, for managers to understand that they are part of a team. They're not one-offs. Mourinho, God, I don't know how many helpers Mourinho had over the years, but he probably had as many helpers as he's had clubs, whereas other people tend to come in partnership, and Eddie and Jason seem to be a partnership, and Eddie respects that as well. And that again is a gift. It's a gift that you can have a team bond like that, and you can both spin off each other. So I think sometimes Jason Tyndall doesn't get the benefit of or the praise that sometimes he deserves. But in terms of Eddie, I think the planning, 100% committed to the role, and the way that he's always moving forward and developing his knowledge of the game and his ability to manage.
Great stuff. Some great comments coming in as well. We discussed this last week, but Captain Keith Hart says, can we say now that Eddie's better Newcastle manager than KK and Sir Bobby? We did discuss that quite in depth last week. probably across the week as well. So it's probably worth watching those shows if you haven't already. Eddie's the best manager, English manager, and he's ours, says Michael West. JD88 on Twitter says, Howe is professional and prolific, delivered success. He's a winner and he's a legend. And Grumpy Grandad says, Eddie Howe out is absolutely ludicrous. He's done a fantastic job since he came in. How many other managers could have done a better job? And Yvonne says, Eddie Howe has learned by taking time out of the hot seat to look at the embers and putting the pieces together. Gary V says it takes a special kind of manager to get this club. Eddie gets it in spades. It's a pressure cooker. One city, one club, and he's coped and he's done something Bobby and Kevin couldn't. 100% special. So lots of positive comments coming in about Eddie Howe. And we said it last week. He is, behind Joe Harvey. Even Gibbo would confirm that now. He really feels as if, that he's got there. He's got there. He's won the trophy, and he's still got years to go at this moment in time. So hopefully, he continues to do so. Slightly shorter show tonight. We've got a few things to get through. As always, it's time for this. Matt, where we ask you to send in photographs of you meeting somebody past or present from Newcastle United, and it's a slightly different one this week because it's from Mark Byers. Mark sent this one over from the Strawberry, Keith Patterson, Steve Hasty. There is Fire and Skill of Twitter, Mark Byers as well. Great to see that photo. Day of the parade, I think. But glad you had a good time, Mark. Sorry, as I say, I didn't catch up with you. Sure, we'll catch up again when you're next over. And I was going to put the other photograph of you up, Mark, actually, the one you stuck on social media of you in the 1990s, looking like a new romantic. But I thought better of it. We'll keep that for a rainy day. JJ chucking a curveball in. Do you think Dan Burns now a bigger legend than Shearer? You know what? It's a classic. It is a good question. It's one to think about. We'll not think about it tonight. It is a good question, JJ. I've got to be perfectly honest. And you've asked us another one. Lads, a couple of quick questions. I've been asking, do you think the club is now seen as a bigger club in other people's eyes after winning the club? Great question, that. So, Mitch, go on. I'll go with you first because you're nodding, and I don't want to lose the thought.
I'm just getting the feedback from around the world. You speak to everybody involved in other supporters clubs around the world, and the level of interest in Newcastle United has escalated significantly. I had a canny little chat with Simon from San Diego this week because he's been on holiday in Japan. Adidas store in Tokyo, totally sold out of Newcastle stuff. Have been since the activation over there. Every time they restock, they sell out. And you just can't get the kit. They can't get enough of the kit to sell. Even a midweek game here in Dubai usually doesn't generate, obviously, because people have work and what have you the next day. Midweek this week, UBK had there was probably 50% more people there than would normally be on a midweek. And more new faces, people that I've not seen before. And I think our interest after that, the cup final, is on an upward surge. And if that's the reawakening of expats who've been interested but not necessarily fully committed, but now, feel really part of a winning team. But most certainly globally, I think we are an easier sell to anyone on the back of that cup win, and just wait until the next one happens and then the next one.
What's your thoughts on this one then, Steve? Do you think other clubs, fans, see us as a bigger club, maybe as a threat now?
Possibly. I think we probably see ourselves more so than what other clubs do, or fans of other clubs do. But I just listed, for example, I haven't even looked at the Carabao Cup. Just listing the FA Cup in the league, and you look at the previous winners, and you talk about big clubs. The last 10 years, the FA Cup: Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Leicester, Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, Arsenal. You look at that and you think, yeah, okay, maybe we need to be on that list some point. But then you look at the Carabao Cup and, Newcastle, Liverpool, Man United, City, you work your way back. It's the same clubs winning the trophies. You look at the league, it's going to be Liverpool this season, but previous 4, Man City. You're struggling to go way back to find Man United winning the league. I think Chelsea was the previous one before. Arsenal haven't won it for God knows how. So we're up there as winners now. So we're in the frame. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Leicester's the sort of freak in those lists of league and FA Cup. But look where they are at the moment, languishing and probably going to be relegated. And we'll play them this weekend as well. I mean, that not to put too fine a point on it, there's no Spurs in the list, there's no Everton in the list, no Aston Villa in the list. You go back and you think these are the clubs that claim to be around us. So no Bournemouth in the list, no Brentford in the list. So what we've got to do is we've got to start to be a bit more consistent in terms of winning. I think we've always said that this is once we win one thing, once we get that monkey off our back, the club's trajectory will go skyrocket. And I think I genuinely do think it will. And I think we're now probably, if anything, we're not. I suppose the phrase is with other clubs, we're seen as a force to be reckoned with. Put it that way. We're on the tick box of clubs to worry about for the fans of other clubs. And I think with Eddie, what we're doing is we're going back to the possibly become with our fans' second club as well, because of the way we're playing, the way that the fans are reacting, the way that we've embraced ourselves on and off the pitch, and the dignity that we have with the manager. So I think people like to see that. They like to see characters on the football pitch as well, and we've got some great characters in Tonali and Bruno. We've got the best striker in the world in Isak, and it attracts fans. That attracts other clubs, supporters of other clubs who will latch on and say we're their second club now because they'll want to see those players playing as well. So, and long may it continue.
George, what's your thoughts on that one? Do you think other clubs see us as a bigger club now that we've won a trophy?
Yes, definitely. You can see it. You can see it. All the idiots on Talk Sport and other places like that now are having second thoughts about what they're saying, where they were kind of laughing at the parade and all the rest of it. They're not laughing now. You ask the directors of Carabao who they would like to win the Carabao Cup next year. They'll want Newcastle, I tell you. They've had more publicity this year because we won it, the way we've celebrated it, than they've had in the last 10 years. I know from my personal contacts, I'm used to people, ex-students particularly, and ex-colleagues around the world, which is what matters. Just from the
George a little bit.
my inbox on at the weekend was started in Australia, Singapore, Italy. Sorry,
I tell you what, we'll take George out. We'll let him get his internet sorted out, and we'll bring him back in because we are losing him there, and it is affecting his answers, unfortunately. So you probably have to reset his computer and come back. Good evening, Joseph.
Evening, chaps. You all right?
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for getting the memo and joining us early. From our perspective, we've asked two questions so far tonight. I'll give you the chance to answer the first one. Eddie Howe, what are the three qualities that he brings to our football club for you?
Naivety. He's inept, and I tell you what, Steve, it's a great question, isn't it? Because he's such a top guy, and I think on that note, there's a sincerity to him. You know, he's a really sincere guy. He speaks, you listen. I think he speaks from the heart, which is good. He doesn't get carried away. He knows where our failings are, and he knows where our successes are. And I don't think we jump up and down and shout about it. We don't behave like certain managers do. He's just really humble. He's really genuine. So yeah, I think sincerity is one. He's clearly dedicated to the job. 24 hours a day, sleeping at the training ground, and the eye for detail, the meticulous studying of the game, the fact that he rarely has a day off. So I think that dedication clearly shines through. And I think overall, and I think what this last 2 weeks has shown us is just how passionate the guy is as well. He let his hair down. He enjoyed himself. And clearly he loves us. He loves his football club. He loves the region. He talked about his family being kind of accepted into the Geordie way of life, and his sons having funny accents. And he clearly loves what he's doing. And I bet he wakes up every day and thinks how blessed am I to be here, surrounded by people like us and the people watching the show. So yeah, I think sincerity, dedication, and passion would probably sum it up for me.
Great. And the other question we're asking tonight, Joe, is really just about the club. Is the club, do you think, as far as other clubs' fans, is it seen as a big club now?
We're massive everywhere we go, aren't we? The kind of phrase. Yeah, I think it's always been a bone of contention for me, Steve. It's been an argument pretty much, since the 90s. Is Newcastle United a big club? The things that George talks about, for example. I think Newcastle United's always been a big club, hasn't it? I think if you're measuring it by how many European Cups have we won, then maybe not. Maybe there's still some way to go. But if it's about fan base, if it's the fact that you can get half a zillion people on a town moor on a relatively cold Saturday and lining the streets and, filling the ground out every week and all the rest of it, then yeah, we're a big football club, aren't we? We've got big players. We've got big ambitions. We've got a big bank balance. Are other teams worried about us? If they're not, they should be. We're coming. We're not going away. I think if this was I don't get the sense that we're a Blackburn Rovers or a Leicester. We're here to upset the establishment for 10 minutes and then we'll fall away. We might not be in the mix yet. We're certainly nowhere near the Liverpools and Arsenals of this world yet. But give us another 4 or 5 transfer windows and we'll ask the question again. But trying to remove the bias from it. Surely Newcastle United's a big club, isn't it? Mitch comes on every week and says there's another part of the world with another supporters club and another black and white shirt in another part of the world that you kind of wouldn't expect to see a Bruno shirt. So yeah, we're massive, and I think we should enjoy it. I think there's more to come. I think the general crack in the ground on Wednesday was hopefully this is just the start of it. And Tottenham Hotspur and Chelsea and the way things are going at Manchester United, they better get used to it because I don't think we're going anywhere.
No, I would agree with you. George, we didn't really hear any of your answer, so if you don't mind starting again, hopefully your internet's a little bit better.
Well, how's that? How does that sound?
Yeah, it's a bit better. Slight delay, George, but it's better. It's a lot better. Slight delay.
Well, I was just repeating that with my experience via the university and ex-students, I'm used to the messaging and saying they're getting up early to watch a game. But people were messages in the week last weekend to say they were getting up to watch the parade. And I'm not talking about just odd place, one or two places. I'm talking about from Australia across to Singapore, across to Italy, Greece, France, Spain, North America, the West Indies, all messaging, all in my inbox saying, we're waiting for it, George. You know, and I don't see that happening anywhere else. I really don't. And it'd be better now Coco's watching the chat, that's for sure. There's no doubt about that. And it's genuine. It isn't half-hearted. It really is genuine support. And it sticks. And these are all people who love the place so much. If I'd been able to get them a job in Newcastle, they would never have gone back to where they come from. So I think the difference, I'd go back to where I was after the final, where I said to you all, the finals in the 50s were great. But when you won it then, it was an end. That final last 3 weeks ago was the start. It's not the end, it's the start. And I'm looking for somebody else. It just got the adrenaline going, and it's still going. You know, it's amazing. And for anybody to deny that Newcastle United's a big club now, I suspect there would even other people would laugh at them, not just us, because you see it on how it's toning down on Talk Sport and all these daft programs where they discuss it, and they've been having a quiet laugh because of our big celebration. Well, they're not laughing too hard now. And as I said at the beginning, you ask the directors of Carabao who they would like to win the cup after the publicity that they've had in the last 3 weeks. They've never had publicity like that before for the Carabao Cup, and they'll be dancing in the aisles because we won it, and they'll be hoping we do well again. That's for sure. So yes, we're a big club, and I've defended it to the end that we've always been a big club. But I think now the others are beginning to realise that the sleeping giant in the North East's waking up. And if we can back Eddie in the summer in the way in which he deserves to be backed, the top four are going to have to look over their shoulders very hard from the first ball kick next year.
Okay, we are 45 minutes into the show. Sorry if we've caught you out with a slightly early start. I am out tonight and need to leave a little bit earlier, but still trying to cram as many things in as we can. As always, if you're easily offended, it's probably time to have a little walk into the kitchen or upstairs or in your garden because it's so. Some great stuff this week. The remains of the parade. This was great from Fire and Skill. Who the hell invited Guy Fawkes to the bus parade? Like, honestly, I'm sure you'll be able, if you're watching on TV, you'll be able to see that. But maybe go back to it, screenshot it, and zoom in. That really does look like Guy Fawkes. Thanks for that, Fire and Skill. We had to put our clocks forward, of course. We lost an hour's sleep at the weekend, and that's the clock on my cooker sorted. McDonald's and another wonderful sign. We do like our signs on here. Some of these again can cause a little bit of offence. Maybe this one. No thanks, McDonald's. I'll just have the nuggets, says Jimmy Moore. Yes. A selective miss of a D there, I think. This one. Please do not pet the animals, including the rattlesnakes in Jimmy's back garden. And if you fancy a pint, how about one of these lads? Old Leg Over, $1.99 from Daleside Brewery, 4.1%. Museums, somewhere you probably feel like going in the winter, not the summer, but this one is the most visited museum in Iceland, apparently. We'll have to ask Magnus about that on Monday. Yeah, interesting. I wonder whether Magnus has been there. Has he made a donation? We'll have to ask him. Colin Walker, thank you for this one. Joy Subdivision, Lovewell Terrace Apartments. Very good. Very good, Colin. I like that. Very good. And how about this for a staircase, guys? A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Wow.
That's brilliant. That Jimmy says, I really thought about doing this too bad.
Wow.
The wife said no. Perfect. New Hope Baptist Church this Sunday, blessing of the animals, barbecue after the service. And maybe they're holding that barbecue in this restaurant. A China buffet, all you can eat. I'll leave you to read that. I'll not say it. If Chinese doesn't fit your taste, how about some chicken? Obama, since he left the White House, has now moved on to this place. It's very good, isn't it? UFC.
Yeah.
And pictured, this is fantastic. Politics Global this week. The BBC misspelled Marine Le Pen's name in an article posted earlier today. Marine Le Pen is a lawyer and politician who ran for the French presidency in 2012, 2017 and 2022. Dear me, how. We all like a fairground ride every now and then. Ride the cock. And
that's a very erect cock at the front of that, wasn't it?
It is. And it's always sad when someone passes to the other side. This guy, I wonder where they put the rest of them, is the question. And thank you again to Jimmy. Jimmy's been on fire this week, hasn't he? Load of come ahead. What on earth that means, Jimmy, I really don't know on an American road. You'll have to enlighten me on that.
Sticky dead end.
Something like that. This as well on TV in America. Jehovah Jones. Yes, he was a witness. Only in America. And having fun with food, number 263. My wife knows I've got a virus and she made my plate like this. There's been a peeping Tom found. I just wish they would identify these guys and put them on the front of the newspaper so we could all see who they are. And this one, the good old days when your mum sold Avon, not photos of her. Yes, you get the rest. I saw a rodent dancing to Hall & Oates song, so I left. I can't go for that. No can do. And this is how doctors worked until 1816, and then some idiot invented the stethoscope. When you're accidentally included in a war plan group chat. And another one like that this week. They're building a weapon called the Death Star. How do you know this? Krennic added me to the group chat. You have to watch the news really to appreciate those two, but yeah, I'm sure most of you get it. Waterloo, please. I'm a bit late for the battle. And so nice of this lady doing the bus driver's shoelaces. Credit where it's due, says Anthony Lee. Star Trek. Warning to children and Macam, says Stephen Kennedy. Don't play with super. And winning at life. I love that. And box.
That mailbox, fabulous.
How good's that? Excellent. I saw a flock of cows today. Herd of cows? Of course I have. They go moo. Keep those coming in. I know I've got a few left, but I always like the Star Trek ones. And here's what you get with your Happy Meal now. A Sunderland season ticket.
Hey.
Well, hey. And this guy wasn't very happy either. This will be my final ride on Go North East. Congratulations to Newcastle United. That's brilliant, isn't it?
Add that to the list of things they're going to be boycotting, the sugar puffs, etc.
Exactly. This is a great one. Steve Bruce, we've seen him in a kebab shop before. This isn't Steve Bruce, it's somebody who vaguely looks like him. The classic read the menu so they don't see me pissing. Unbelievable, that, like.
I've seen the video of that. Now,
I didn't want to put... it just bamboozles you that somebody would actually do that. Anyway, Dan Byrne, I think most of you know by now, he's on Instagram. This cracked me up this week, by the way, and that isn't an egg joke. Dan Byrne put this on Instagram this week. Bruno put, "What are you doing, man? Get out of Instagram, please." Where we're on eggs. He died last Friday. Thank God he wasn't beaten. Don't worry, he went over easy. He's now on the sunny side. He's definitely in a better plate, lads.
Oh,
Coming into the business end now, and we've got this one from Jimmy. Son holding acorn. What's this? Me, a tree. Son, really? Me, in a nutshell, yeah.
oh.
Very good, Jimmy. That was probably one of the more saner ones this week. Natalie, McDonald has the best Coke. Let's argue. Kathy, Mexico has the best Coke. Let's argue. Francisco, Colombia has entered the chat. And empathy will suck and drain you completely dry, says Ari Lennox. The main event says, anybody got empathy's number?
Yeah.
And Kevin Bacon has just revealed that he no longer eats bacon. No word yet from Andy Dick.
Oh,
God.
Yeah.
And the patron saint of copying
Yeah.
people on email, of course, is Saint Francis of Assisi.
oh, dear me.
Very good, that, Colin. I did like that. A
Oh.
picture here sometimes it needs no words. Joe, is that you or a relative of yours? The guy.
Let
on
me
the
know
left?
that.
And this is great. Whoever you are, no matter how drunk you were, stand proud. You are a king.
Some effort, that, isn't it?
Yes.
How on earth they've got it up there? I mean, do you think they were throwing it up? I don't know. Did you know there's an Arab trying to buy every fish and chip shop in Britain? His name is Sultan Vinegar.
Oh, yummy.
Very good. And I told you this was going to become a thing. Do you remember the Bjork thing we had last week? We've got another one.
Oh, no.
Yorkshire pudding.
Oh,
Right.
I told you it's becoming a thing.
Oh.
We're going to get a few of these, I can tell. How would someone cancel an appointment at a sperm bank, lads? Do you just call them and say you can't come?
Oh, yummy. Oh,
And which one should we have as the winner? Well, it's going to be this one this week. This made me laugh out loud, people. Robbie Coltrane, 75 today. Happy birthday, Robbie. Comment underneath, excellent recovery from that bout of death he went through in 2022. Rest in peace, Robbie. I wish some people would just leave the internet alone sometimes. If you've got a tweet of the week, you can @Steve Rate on X and I'll get it there. Or send it to the lads if you've got their contact details. Or send it to the email address nufcmatters1892@gmail.com. And we will get back to you next week with more tweets of the week. And if you're in the kitchen, you can come back now. Good to see everybody in the chat again. Apologies for being on early. Got a busy schedule tonight. Michael West's question caught my eye. I like this one. He says, when the takeover happened, lads, we compared it to the club being a skyscraper on the up. What floor and level are we on now in terms of progress?
interesting. I think we're probably in the Sky Restaurant at the moment, heading where we up onto the top where the infinity pool is. But I think we're probably on the Sky Restaurant at the moment.
All right. What about you, Mitch?
Literally, obviously, you can tell you spent some time in Dubai because that was what I was about to say was we're just at that first level where they're going to build a mezzanine on which there'll be an infinity pool, and then the rest goes from there.
That's after the car park on level 5.
That's right.
All right, Mitch, is that your answer then?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
George, we've got you back. Give us your answer on that. What floor do you think we're on?
Well, I think we're in the biggest. We're heading for the biggest part of the world, so I think we're about halfway up the Burj Khalifa.
Oh,
all right. Is there a borough reference in this, Joe?
No, see the way my brain works. I was going, well, how big's this skyscraper? How many floors has it got? These are the details.
It's like
I need
lads'
to know.
14 stories.
Is it a bit like the transporter, like that type of thing? I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, we're certainly off the basement, aren't we? I mean, that's the beauty of it. We've passed over halfway, haven't we? And but what it feels like is we're 3/4 of the way up, but we're on the express elevator. So we're on our way, aren't we? We're I wouldn't quite say we're at the top yet. But we're definitely flying up and just watching them floors go, aren't we? And passing Tottenham. Tottenham are on the other one, just on the way down, and we're all just waving at them like that. So we're on our way. We're 3/4 of the way up.
Yeah, I think we're not far off being like Charlie in the glass elevator and going through the top of the roof and into the sky. That's where we're at. That's my answer. Good question, though, Michael. Thank you. And big shout out to Lee. Philip, thank you for that. Was back in the early days when we started the channel. Lee used to come on and do the women's show as well. I hope she's okay. She still supports the show, but doesn't get a chance to jump in the chat as much. But big shout out to her and her family. Lots of other questions coming in. Eamond, I'll go with yours. Lads, do you think we'll have a different transfer list if we qualify for the Champions League? How are the lads, Steve?
Yes, definitely. I mean, you've got to have 3 transfer lists, haven't you? You've got to have your conference list, your Europa list, and your Champions League list. And I'm sure that's the way it operates. And I mean, we always talked about this. It's been an ongoing conversation for quite a number of years because it actually came out in conversation way back during Ashley's tenure when Lee Charlie used to talk about them spotting targets 2 and 3 years in advance and identifying the target and then seeing how the target progressed before they actually made a move for them. Mainly French in those days, by the way. But I think we will have varying degrees of targets based on the competition because there'll be certain players that we'll have identified that will only come if we're in the Champions League. You're talking about players that are already linked to other Champions League clubs. The Jonathan Davids, for example, that's where he's wanting to be. He's wanting to be in the Champions League. Gukaresh down in Portugal, he's the only going to want Champions League. And Vlahovic, I mean, there's a player whose name I've mentioned, for the last 2.5, 3 years. It's a player I'd love to have seen in a black and white shirt, but not a Juventus black and white, that is. And now he's being touted as a possible £35 million signing, but he's on 200 grand a week. He's a Champions League player. There are many others, and I think you look at Tonali and you look at the success that he's had since he's arrived. Bit of a delayed start, but there will be players in the Italian league who'll be looking at Tonali and thinking, I want some of that success. But they'll want it in the Champions League because it's the main league. So yes, we will have varying lists, targets based where we finish. Plus, where we finish is going to dictate the amount of money that we've got to spend as well. So.
All right. I mean, Eddie Howe was asked a little bit about transfers today, Mitch, but he's hoping, I guess, is what he says. He still plays it down whenever he gets asked about these things, but he's hoping for a better summer.
You're going to find he's going to constantly play straight back with that now.
Yeah.
That ability to talk about transfers is long gone. I think they've worked out where they're at in terms of whose responsibility is what. And I don't think you'll get much out of Eddie regarding transfers going forward. Having Champions League does 2 things. It makes certain conversations with certain players a hell of a lot easier. But it will also bring agents and players to our door. It changes the dynamic. And you'll probably find we are actually telling certain agents to do one. No thanks. Leave it alone. That kind of thing. But it does make the conversation with some probably our top targets so much easier. Does it bring a different list? There might be a list in which sort of we would like player X, and I think would still make a tentative approach. But with Champions League football, that approach becomes a lot easier, and the conversations become easier, because you then say to that player, we're already on this ride, come and join it and keep us there. We're not dangling a carrot, because not every player works well with carrots and sticks. You know, I don't. I've turned particularly roles down here in Dubai that were mainly commission-based, because I don't believe that's how healthcare should work. And I'm not a donkey. I don't work with carrots and sticks. I know what my worth is. And so it's not every footballer wants that. And some will feel that they don't need that. And so to say we have Champions League football and we can continue this with you on board is a very, very different conversation. And an easier one, no doubt.
I tell you what it also does, Mitch, it makes it easier for us to walk away. If we think we're taking the piss and an agent's taking the piss, it makes it very much easier for us to say, you know what? No, we're not actually interested now.
Thanks for that. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Agree.
Okay, George.
I don't think he's there.
No, he's having a nightmare tonight, unfortunately. Do we need a different strategy in the transfer window? We've got Europe now. Joe, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to attract Champions League footballers, you've got to play in the Champions League. I think that's as simplistic way as I look at it. Will it be another transfer window or two of buying Lewis Hall and Tino Livramento and you know, and Sandro Tonali, players like that? Or does it link with what we've just been talking about with the mythical skyscraper? And are we ready to hit that level yet? If we are ready to hit that level and we've got the funds to do so, it will not hurt the fact that, you know, and we're going to be playing Bayern Munich and you know, go back to Milan and all the rest of it next season. So I think there's a lot riding on it, Steve, but it isn't just about the players coming in, is it? Without me being too negative, it's also about the players we're hoping to hang on to as well. So I think there's a lot riding on this Champions League spot, not only for us moving forward, not only for the finances, but also keeping one or two of our crown jewels. I mean, I don't think the crown jewels are going to leave, if I'm being honest. Certainly not this window, but who knows, because money talks, and that's where the glamour and the razzmatazz is. So, you know, comfortably, if we can get that fifth spot, fourth if we're being really greedy, it can only be a good thing and it can only push us forward. But I agree. I mean, whether it's the cup, whether it's the general atmosphere around the place, whether it's the future plans that we've got, not only short term but medium and longer term, whether it's players watching the celebrations, you know, of last weekend. I would like to think there'll be quite a few international footballers lining up to come and play for Newcastle United, and I think there'll be quite a few agents kind of pushing it that way as well. So if we can get all the ducks in order, we've won a trophy, we've finished 5th, 4th, and we're going to Bayern Munich next season. I'd want to sign for Newcastle United, I think.
George, got you back again. Do we need to have a different transfer window in the summer, do you think?
Well, I think what happened last at the cup final and the subsequent celebrations might well bring people into the window that wouldn't have looked at us before. There will be players who'll want some of that. I'm certain of it, because that's been special for the ball, and as they all do their international rounds, they'll be telling their mates, and I think that will have an influence on the window. That's a little success that we've had. And there may be one or two people suddenly come into the window that might not have wanted us before. And that'll get even bigger if we get Champions League, which we're likely to get.
Okay, great stuff. Good to have George back. His internet's had a bit of an in and out today, but we've managed to plough on. Only got 25 minutes left on the show, so it is time to look ahead to Newcastle United's fixture at Leicester at the weekend, starting with Tyne.
Hello, the Carabao Cup winners, the latest English side to win a trophy in England. Congratulations to everyone. Back to business now in the Premier League, chasing the Champions League spots. Away to Leicester on Monday. And actually Newcastle lost 9 of their 12 games against Leicester between 2015 and 2021. But they are unbeaten in the last 4, winning 3 and drawing 1. We also have not conceded a goal against Leicester in the last 3 games. When it comes to Leicester, they're on an unprecedented run of 7 straight losses at home without scoring a goal, equaling Watford's record from the 70s. No club in England in the total league history at any division, any level, has lost 8 consecutive home games without scoring a single goal. At the same time, Alexander Isak is on fire against sides in the relegation group. He has scored 8 goals in his last 6 appearances against such sides, including 5 goals only this season, the hat-trick against Ipswich and the 2 goals against Southampton. He also scored against Leicester earlier in the season. Now, when it comes to away wins, Newcastle already has 7. If they win one more game, they equal the best under Eddie Howe, which was from the 2022-2023 season. Under Bobby Robson and Kevin Keegan, Newcastle has done seasons with 9 away wins back in 93-94 and 2001-2002. Newcastle has never won 10 away games in the Premier League only. We're still chasing that famous Champions League spot. Let's see what happens in this historic season. Away the lads.
Great stuff. Thank you, Andre. Good to have you back. It's now time for Scunny Mag.
Hi folks, Scunny Mag Paul here with another away day guide. This one is for Leicester City. For your team's visiting the King Power Stadium, everything you need is going up. Okay, Leicester City. For those coming in by train, Leicester Station is served by East Midlands Railway to either Sheffield or Nottingham, and you can change in from there. For those driving in, the club will charge you £19. You've got other options around the stadium. The Leicester Tigers Rugby Club is not too far away, about 15-minute walk, and they open their car park to football fans on a match day. It's around a tenner a time. Once you've arrived and settling in, you'll probably want to find a pub. So if you've come on train, the Hind Bar is just on the corner as you come out of the station and make your way back to the main road. You can find them at Units Jaws Lows, and they are away friendly. Moving in towards the city, from there you've got the Barley Mow. Just as you get onto Granby Street, you find that at Dime Store Chaps, and carrying on from there, you've got the Locker Room and the Walkabout on Belvoir Street, just sort of next door but one to each other. And Tape's Oldest Hooks will get you to one of those. They're all away friendly. There is quite a few good options in the city centre. Moving up closer to the ground, you've got the Local Hero, which is probably the closest you're going to get to the stadium. Bands Forgot Hills will get you to the front door of that one. There's also a pay and display car park there. There's an Odeon around the corner and a Nando's just behind it, but that's like 2 minutes walk from the stadium. It is mixed. It's going to be busy. If you're staying over, a few hotel options, but I've picked 2 out. The first one, right next door to the stadium, that's the Holiday Inn Express Leicester City, and Pie Store's Volume will get you to the reception door. And then the other one I've picked out is the Grand Hotel in the city centre. It's 2 minutes walk from the train station, in the middle of all the pubs that are away friendly, and Else Rocks Exit will get you to the steps at the front of that one. When you're ready to head up to the stadium, if you are still in the city centre, it's about a 45-minute walk. You want to be on the northeast corner, where you'll be split into 2 channels. They will search you and this, that and the other. They both go to the same area once you get in, so don't worry too much about it. But Cult Truth Model will get you in front of where they're doing all the searches and stuff. And quickly on pubs, the Counting House, which is listed as the designated visiting supporters pub, now permanently closed. I've been Paul. You've been very patient. Thank you very much for listening. Here's hoping we carry on our winning ways on our travels. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Cheers, Scunny Mag. And last but by no means least, it is time to play the man's music. Over to you, Joseph.
Thank you, Stephen. Okay, so linking in with what Andrea's just said, it's no surprise that Leicester are a massive 5-1 to win the football match at home. The draw is 17-5, and Newcastle are just under evens at 1-2. Put £2 on, get 1 back. Goals are fancied in the game. There will be a goal fest, and I think it'll be 7-1. So it's 125 to 1 if you think we'll do them 7-1. Jamie Vardy is leading the way to score any time in the game for Leicester. But his price is not as big as Alexander Isak, as you can imagine, although it'll be interesting to see if he starts the game or it'll be Callum Wilson, and there's some value in Wilson getting a goal on Monday night. I'm going to have a little flutter on Harvey Barnes, so you can get a decent price for Barnes to go back and do some damage. If you think Sandro will replicate the worst cross I've ever seen in football history from Wednesday night, he is 7-1 to score, and Big Dan Burn is 8-1. 1-0 Newcastle, 7-1, and that's the same as 2-0. 3-0, and the Penmen are both 10-1. 0-0 draw is as big as 14-1 and 7-1 if you think it'll be 1-1. Leicester to win 1-0 is 16-1, and it's 33-1 for Leicester to win 2-0, which just shows where they're at this season, particularly at home. Red card in the game is 4-1, and Joe Linton's inevitable yellow card, the one we're trying to avoid, is 5-2. So that's fancied. I hope last week you all got on the four-way game, the four-way teams in the FA Cup, although Forest did it the hard way, and the North East treble also came in as well, so there was a nice 4-1 there. This week, though, it's 10-1 because the Mackems have got to play West Brom, and they're not really fancied in that one. Whatever you're doing, look after your money. Find some value in Newcastle. I'd go with the goal scorers and probably the over 2.5, 3.5 goals market. But please be careful. And for those asking about the Grand National, the brown one with 4 legs, they usually do.
That's a great get out, by the way. I love this as well. Usually Mitch, as you know, if you watch a show, comes in with his what 3 words. Ian's what 3 words were Carabao Cup winners. Very good. Very good.
They're the ones.
I like that. Yes, so Newcastle are at Leicester, 8 o'clock live on Sky Monday night. So a little bit extra rest for the lads. 3,000 tickets sold out. Few of the NUFC Matters crowd are going down there. Denise is going, Pablo, Darren's going down as well. So going to be a good smattering of us down there. And away ticket forwarding will be available from today at 8 o'clock until Monday at 3 o'clock if you can't make it for whatever reason now. Sven Botman, Lewis Hall and Jamal Lascelles all out. Anthony Gordon is free from suspension. Whether he's recovered in time from his injury, who knows? Eddie, as always, playing his cards close to his chest today. He didn't give any specific updates as to whether Isak, Gordon, Joe Linton or Trippier would be fit enough to feature, and why would he? Joe Linton remains 1 booking away from a 2-game ban. Dan Burn is 2 bookings away from suffering the same fate. Got 3 more games to go, I believe, before that disappears for the rest of the season. So far this season on their own ground, Leicester have won twice, drawn 3 times and lost the other 10 games. And since a 2-2 draw with Brighton at the King Power in early December, Leicester have lost all 7 Premier League home games, conceding 18 goals and scoring a big fat 0. A barren scoring sequence which stands at 630 minutes. On Tuesday, Ruud van Nistelrooy's side were beaten 2-0 at Manchester City, and that's their 7th consecutive Premier League loss. It's now 670 minutes since their most recent Premier League goal. Referee, it's Rob Jones, and it is his 2nd Newcastle game of the season. He took charge of the 2-1 Premier League home victory over Spurs back in September. VAR, we've had him before. It is Alex Chilowich. So, how do you see this one going, Steve?
Well, nothing other than a Newcastle win and 3 points to bring us back. I hate Monday night games. I really do. And I hate this one especially because we've got a game in hand. We're going to end up with, by the time we go into it, we have 2 games in hand over everybody who's above us. City are playing Man United away. Forest and Villa are playing each other, and Chelsea play Brentford. And I think they're when you look at it straightforwardly, they're the 3 teams. I don't think we're going to catch up. But the 3 teams that we're competing with for Champions League spots are those 3: City, Forest, Chelsea. And I suppose you can throw Villa into the mix, so they're 2 points below. But it's the gap, when you look at it and you think, God, we're like 2 games in hand and all that type of thing. But it's just a horrible Monday night football. Just don't enjoy it at all. But I'll be going in with the usual hope rather than expectation. Oh, no, sorry, I won't. I'll be going in with the expectation rather than hope. But what I'm really surprised, Joe, that those odds that they gave, given the lack of goal scoring, of Jamie Vardy to score. I mean, that's really, really odd. There's a man who's lived on reputation for 2 seasons, and we've got the best goal scorer in the country. I was listening to Alan Shearer earlier on, and he was being wound up by Gary Lineker because now we've got Alexander Isak, who's scored 20 goals in 2 seasons consecutively in the Premier League, and turns out Shearer never did that. He was claiming it was because he was always injured, and he had long spells in between seasons. And then I loved his retort where he come back and said, "Yeah, but I played 30 games and scored 14. So I was there or thereabouts. Don't knock us." And he was actually going to go back and check the record books. But what a fantastic record to score 20 league goals in 2 consecutive seasons and that is why he's the main striker, and that's why he's going to get goals on Monday night. So we'll go into it. We'll take the 3 points. It sets us up nicely for what is to come. Obviously, our next home game is Man United, and that's a game that I do enjoy. And that's a game that we've got the hex on them now, because we're a bigger club. So,
prediction, Steve?
I think I'm going to go with the same score that Johnny Allen put up there, and I'm going to go for a 3-0.
3-0. Okay, it's interesting what you say about Isak as well. I mean, it's been talked about at the press conference today, but it was doing the rounds on the internet long before that, and that's it. Out of the 20 goals this season, it's 10 goals at home and 10 goals away. And also, interesting point. I think it was Ian Murtagh put it across to Eddie that it might have been Craig Hope about the injury record that he's got. Is it a myth? Because when you actually look at how many times he's been out, he hasn't been injured at all. There's precautions, there's protecting him. But yeah, interesting. If you haven't listened to the press conference, it's only 25 minutes. Give it a listen when we finish tonight, because you've got half an hour extra. So go and give it a listen. Mitch, I've gone for a 4-1 on Monday night. I do think Leicester will probably break the goal scoring duck, but I do think Newcastle will be too strong for them. It potentially could be one of those where we either we pull off a narrow win, 1-0, 2-0, and it's a professional defensive display, and we just professional job. It's also got the potential to be a Sheffield United, this 7 or 8-0.
Yeah, and we have to turn up. Bring my A game. It's one of those. There's no excuses not to now. I think as long as we do. For some reason, I've seen a bit of Leicester in the last few weeks. I don't know whether their kick-off times just happened to be when I've had 5 minutes spare and what have you, and they are truly awful. There's no other way you can put from what I've seen in Van Nistelrooy. Seems to have them playing an interesting zonal marking scheme where they all mark 1 square foot of the pitch each and just allow everybody to run in between them. It's quite a startling thing to see. They made Mikel Mourinho look like Pele, playing like a makeshift forward for Arsenal. He scored 2 tap-in strikers goals that really the marking was, well, you can't even say it was non-existent. It was just horrendous. It was he just ghosted past everyone, and so that was a team playing without a centre forward. And Leicester had a spell in that game where they did look decent and they had a go, but they just didn't know what to do in the final third. And so, and it seems like there's issues there. I know Van Nistelrooy apparently called out Winks for not agreeing to stay overnight a couple of times a week because he's commuting from London. But hasn't his missus just had a baby?
Yeah.
You know, and that's all the signs of a very unhappy ship. You know, it's quite opposite of the pastoral care that Eddie Howe seems to give to our players. You know, I think Winks is obviously keen to support his family first and damn the rest of you. But he shouldn't be being given that choice to make.
Yeah, when a manager comes out and says stuff like that with 10 games to go and you haven't won for you, then you know you're clutching at straws, aren't you? You know, that's definitely the way. You're right.
You know, it really is. It's poor, and that's what's going on there. If they were to lose, you know, to break a record for not having scored in consecutive home games, what have you, nothing would surprise us because they are that bad. And that's not, you know, being arrogant. That's just literally what I've seen with my own footballing eyes. And so if we can't go there and make things happen, then I think we deserve to get nothing. If we can't go there and make things happen. If we turn up with the right mindset, nothing in football's ever a foregone conclusion. But by God, we're giving ourselves a hell of a chance to put 3 big points in the bank again.
The big question is, what does the dice say?
What does the dice say? And the dice says, 0-2.
0-2. What do you say, Mitch?
I'm going to go one more and say 0-3.
Okay, good stuff. George, what are your feelings about this match on Monday?
Well, like Neil, what I've seen of Leicester, I've got to say, if Newcastle turn up with the right mindset, it could easily be another Sheffield United, quite easily, because they are absolutely awful. And listening to the manager, it's already been discussed, putting players under the bus for various reasons, says it's not a happy ship. So if we can't turn that over, then we don't deserve Champions League. I'm going to be less bullish than Sheffield United, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was 4 or 5. In fact, I'm going to go for 5-0. Before I finish, Steve Hasty can see I'm wearing it, the scarf.
Yep.
Came home in the post this morning, Steve.
Oh.
No, it came home in the post this morning.
Right.
Somebody sent it. I lost it in the Irish Centre, Steve, and nobody could find it, and it just disappeared. Well, turned up this morning in the post. So whoever sent it, thank you very much. It's very special. Came from Australia about 25 years ago. Only one with magpies on it. That's why it's different. So thank you, whoever did it. And 5-0 would christen the scarf again.
Great stuff. So what was your prediction, George?
5-0.
5. Okay. Joe?
It's what happens when you keep taking all your clothes off in the Irish Centre, George. We've told you about it. Yeah, I agree, Steve. You know, I like to watch teams kind of from a defensive perspective, and Leicester are absolutely abysmal. The defence is non-existent, and the strikers can't score. So, using that logic and using the logic of us wanting to be a Champions League side, we're going to win, aren't we? Surely. So, yeah. I'd like to think, you know, there's nothing to suggest that we won't. We are on the up. I'm glad we got over Wednesday night and we won. We got 3 points. You know, we've drawn a line under the Carabao Cup for the time being. You know, we can park that for a little while and think about the Champions League. So, yeah, I agree with Steve. I'm not an overly massive fan of Monday night football, but I'd like to think that Eddie Howe will, you know, the mission's quite easy, really, isn't it? We've got some tough games coming up. We've got 2 relegation fodder in Leicester and Manchester United to play next. So there's 6 points. So, yeah, why not start Monday night? Why not get at it, whether it's Wilson or Isaac, whether it's Gordon or Barnes, whether it's, you know, Joe Linton or Miley? Surely we've got enough to beat these. So, yes, as much as I'd love us to win 5, 6, 7, I'd quite happily win 2-0. Hassle-free, easy game, 3 points, and worry about them lot next Sunday.
You know what, Joe? It's the worst Leicester defence since Rebecca Vardy's.
Ah, dear me, yo. Eamon, I will give him a shout out. Can you please give a mention to Les? Real name was Les, a founding member of Dr. Ed Harrison's blog, lifelong member of Newcastle, who sadly passed away on the 20th of March. Yeah, our respects go to his family and condolences. Eamon, thank you for pointing that out. Another Newcastle United fan, unfortunately.
Yes, we also lost Craig as well. We found out that Craig, who sits behind George and myself at the match, who used to come to all of our NUFC Matters events in the Irish Centre with his son Ben, Craig sadly passed away as well. So condolences to Craig's family. You know, and send our deepest condolences from everyone who. From the NUFC Matters family who knew Craig, and you know, lovely chap, lovely son. May he rest in peace.
Yes, 100%, Steve. Thank you for pushing that out there. Johnny Allen has asked us to put this out. He says he's managed to get a T-shirt, Champions 25. It's a one-off design T-shirt signed by Sandro Tonali. All you need to do if you're on X is find John Justice Allen on X and place a bid underneath it, and he will double whatever the final bid is and give it to Dementia UK. Thank you, John, and hope that's good enough to promote for you. Just want to thank Mickey as well, who sent these photographs in. I do like these, but I mean, you know, some of them are available on the internet, but that was the West Stand, the Millburn Stand, as it was when I first went to St James's Park. The old director's box there and press box right at the top of the stand with the pylon and that. I love that. And the ground, as we knew it, this is what it was like when I stood on it back in the day. The old corner and the scoreboard. Probably slightly earlier than me going this looks like 70s, I think, rather than 80s. But great photographs.
And a 10-minute corner flag.
and a couple from the dressing room as well, and the training ground. Mirandina and David McCreary, which is a wonderful photo, and this one as well. Wow, some old faces on there, lads. This is back in that 86-87 season. The guy whose family sent these over is that man there who was involved behind the scenes at the training ground. There's Peter Jackson, far right. Andy Hunt, Darren Jackson, and Paul Goddard, and Paul Stevenson, of course.
Yep.
Paul
Stevenson. My dad taught Paul Stevenson. He was in the year above our Gerard at school as well. At St Mary's. Good lad.
Fantastic. No, absolutely. I mean, I love looking back at old photos like that. I've got one more as well. Gaza.
Jackson.
And Peter Jackson, which is an absolute belt of that. And I did get one more. See if I can squeeze it in before we're finished. I'm just going to have to upload it. There we go. Just a different angle from the Leicester stand, looking into the East stand. Amazing, great stuff. Great memories those when you're a certain vintage and you remember the ground. Anyway, thank you for sending those in. Much appreciated. Glad I managed to get them on the show. And a big thanks to the lad who sent this in a while back. I forgot to put it up. He's come up with a bit of an idea for our sponsor, Skips and Bins.
Brilliant.
Bins and skips. It doesn't work.
Bins and skips. Have a good weekend, lads. Thanks as always for giving up your time. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Back 9:30 in the morning with 3 Crowd, the Northeast Footy podcast, and then on Sunday, slightly later than usual, 5:30. Me, Mitch, and Stu will be back with the professionals. See you all then. Have a good weekend. Take care. Bye bye.
Cheers, everyone.
Thank you.